This is News Talk 95.1 FM, 790 AM KFYO, and we've got Dave King and Matt Martin here, and we've got Dr. Rollo. Dr. Kathy Rollo is the superintendent of Lubbock ISD. Dr. Rollo, how are things going?
Well, we finished the school year strong.
Yeah,
so we're in our second week of summer now.
Yeah, thank goodness.
Good morning, Dr. Rollo. This is Dave here, and it seems like so we got Matt in the studio, and you and we're distancing ourselves from Matt.
Well, good morning, Dave, and good morning, Matt.
I guess I smell bad.
I just wanted to. I was wondering this morning, what would it be like to be Dr. Rollo? We have a situation here that I'm pretty sure that Dr. Rollo has never been in before, and I don't guess there's a rule book or a playbook, and. Is it like kind of flying blind, Dr. Rollo, with this virus situation?
Yes.
And all the changes that's come about?
Yes, we've talked as superintendents in our networks have talked about how it's like flying the plane while it's being built. This is something that has been unprecedented for all of us as far as in our modern era. So it's definitely been interesting. It's been great to have such a strong team and such a strong Lubbock community where we've been able to carry on, and we're moving toward next year now. Well, after we get graduations completed this weekend.
Yeah. So all of the high schools are going to have graduations, and I know that there's a bunch of rules and regulations behind it, but it was something that we didn't even know was going to happen, a month ago. So it's good to see, I guess, a month and a half ago. But it's good to see all of that coming together. When are the graduations, and what are they going to look like?
Well, we are just, number one, we are so grateful that we have the opportunity to be able to have them, because we were afraid that we were going to have to do something completely virtual, and graduation is such a milestone for so many of our students, and so we are thrilled to be able to have them. So we start on Thursday evening with Talkington School for Young Women Leaders, and then they continue from there through Saturday night. So we will have all 5 of our ceremonies either at 8:30 in the morning, or 8 p.m. And we chose those times just to try to take advantage of the cooler temperature, since we'll be outside this year at Plains Capitol Park.
And it has been nice once the sun kind of gets a little bit lower.
Yes. So we are operating at about 25% capacity so that we can maintain social distancing. We're asking family groups to sit together. We'll skip every other row. We have some health questions that we'll ask as groups enter. The workers will be wearing masks, but we are not requiring the graduates to wear them. But other than that, you're going to see things that look very similar to years past.
So to get all the the questions answered, and to get into the venue, how early do you think people should show up if they want to be there for the opening?
We are opening the doors an hour and a half prior to the ceremony start time, but we will have all of our entrances open with people there screening. So we're hoping that we'll keep the lines from getting too long and get people in quickly. With having a limited number of guests per graduate, we really feel like we have the manpower to be able to get people in and seated quickly.
Okay, were they limited to 5?
The larger high schools, yes, we're limited to 5. Estacado and Talkington, because we have smaller graduating classes, they're limited to 10.
Okay.
Well, Dr. Rollo, I guess one of the big things, of course, there's so many questions to ask, but I do want to remind our audience, if you have a question for Dr. Rollo, our text lines are open, and we would love to pass the question along to her this morning. 806-680-2790 is that number. Fall football, Dr. Rollo. Do we know yet what's the status of fall high school football? We're talking Friday night football in Texas.
I know, and we cannot wait. We are so ready for that. So we are very excited that we found out just a short time ago that we are going to be able to offer strength and conditioning and then some sport-specific instructional opportunities for kids starting June 8th. And so our athletic trainers and coaches have been working around the clock developing safety protocols, and ways for kids to sign up for times to go in and get some practices in with their coaches. So that's going to start June 8th, which I think is a really good sign that we should be able to have football in some form or fashion when we get started back in August.
Yeah, why make them practice if they're not going to play, right?
Right, exactly.
Okay.
But when
are we waiting on dictates from the state, or are we just kind of in limbo right now with sports?
We're in a somewhat of a bit of limbo. I'm hopeful that the state will actually, based on local decision-making, allow us to make some decisions about, what school looks like when we open up in the fall. Lubbock has done a decent job of keeping that curve flat, and so we feel like we can handle school with some minimal restrictions as long as we have some cleaning protocols and safety protocols in place. So we are still waiting for some guidance, but we also hope and are getting a sense that we're going to have some local authority to make some of those decisions as well.
So we have a text messenger with a pretty good question, especially since this is coming up. Do the graduates or those that are in attendance at the graduation need to wear a mask?
So we will offer any of our graduates who want to wear a mask will be offered one. We are not going to provide them for the general people coming, but if they want to wear a mask, absolutely, please feel comfortable wearing one. We certainly are encouraging that. The graduates will be offered one, but not required. But the workers will be required to wear one.
Okay.
Well, this would be an odd year, as the texture comments, to have our graduates with their senior picture wearing a mask.
Well, we have some backdrops, and so hopefully if they do want to wear a mask, maybe they'll feel comfortable taking it off while we take their picture in front of the backdrop.
Yeah, at least while we're taking their picture.
Okay,
yeah.
Well, Dr. Rollo, I'm going to go ahead and take the break and come back and ask. We kind of want to talk a little bit about what the possibilities are for the fall semester coming up for the schools themselves. And also one of the questions is, how long does it take for a school to get ready for something like that? When does the government have to make decisions so that y'all can be prepared? So anyway, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back on KFYO with Dr. Rollo, Mornings with Dave King and Matt Martin. This is News Talk 95.1 FM, 790 AM KFYO, Mornings with Dave King and Matt Martin, and we want to get directly back to Dr. Rollo. Dr. Rollo, one of the questions I had is, I know that the government has talked about a lot of different things for the schools, but the big question, one of the biggest, I guess, concerns is that they haven't really been giving business owners very much time when they produce these rules and regulations that come out, and some business owners said they're not given enough time to get things prepared. How much time does it take for you to prepare for the next school year, when does the government need to get their act together and tell you exactly what it's going to look like? I guess is the best way to put it.
That's a great question, Matt. So, of course, we're in a cadence of always preparing for the next school year. When we're finishing up the spring, we're also putting our foot into the next school year and getting ready. So some of that happens normally for us anyway. Fortunately, we were given permission by the governor to be able to stand up some summer instruction. And his orders said starting June 1st. Well, we wanted time to make sure we do it right. So we're not starting any of that until July. But it gives us an opportunity to get some safety protocols in place for some face-to-face summer learning for our highest risk kids. And so that's going to give us some opportunities to practice some things and get some things stood up during June so that we're ready for that in July. So we're preparing to start school as normal as possible, August 17th. We have ordered a great deal of supplies to make sure that our cleaning protocols are ready and we have what we need to get that done. So we're moving forward planning as though we are going to be starting on August 17th as normal, and we'll be ready.
So one of the things I've heard that I guess the state of Texas, or I don't know if it's the TEA or one of the organizations, is asking ISDs to do is to go to something like a 12 limit of 12 students per classroom. In Lubbock, is that even a possibility? How would you make something like that happen?
So it's really not feasible for any school district that I know of to have 12 to 1 instruction. I mean, really because of facilities with all kids there at the same time. So some districts are exploring models of having some kids come on Monday and Wednesday, some kids come on Tuesday and Thursday, and then rotate Fridays. They're looking at all different kinds of schedules. We are hoping that that rule by that point in time is relaxed so that we can go ahead and have all kids come. We believe we can handle that as long as we have some safety protocols in place.
Dr. Rollo, I had a couple of questions for you, but one, do you anticipate or have you given any thought or consideration that there may be a number of parents that are going to be hesitant to send their children to back to in a public school environment?
Yes, we have given thought to that, and as you guys know, we stood up remote learning opportunities for kids during spring break so that we were ready after spring break to go to that mode of learning. So we know that providing some remote options are still going to be a necessity, either for kids who their parents are not comfortable with them reporting to school, or if we do have to close down for short periods of time due to active cases, then we'll have that stood up and ready to go. So we do have plans for remote learning options as well.
Yeah. Another thing I just noticed on the social media that you had commented about the silent march that the LPD and our police chief and our mayor and many other citizens marched yesterday, and you said that you were so proud to live in Lubbock. Do you have some thoughts about that? Were you there? Did you march?
I did. I was there. Serving a very diverse student population in Lubbock, and that's something that we consider to be a strength. And I just want our students and our families and our staff to know that we care about all of our students and appreciate the diversity that they bring to the table. And so I felt compelled to be there to be a part of that. It was very unifying as a community, and very proud of the way our citizens responded peacefully.
So, Dr. Rollo, I hate to switch back a little bit, but another one of the suggestions that has been made is that the students wear masks. Is that something that you think is going to be happen in the fall?
So we have masks ready for summer school. It's really hard to tell small children that they have to keep masks on. So it's something that we're still looking at and trying to determine if that's something we need to do or not. And we'll seek some medical guidance on that as well.
Has there any look at having something different for the older students that are easier to work with? They understand more of what's going on and how to do the precautions than they are with the smaller kids that may not really be as sanitary. Are there any? Are y'all going to work with those two groups differently, I guess is a question.
I mean, obviously, the older the child, the more ownership they can take over their own social distancing behaviors and their own safety precaution behaviors. But, yes, we've talked about having some differentiated protocols in place depending on the age of the children.
Hey, Dr. Rollo, very quickly, we only have a minute or so, but we do have a texture that says 2 questions about Waters Elementary. What is the purpose of
from the campus will be removed?
Okay, so is there going to be a budget issue moving forward with Lubbock Independent School District? I know that like tax income and whatnot may be different, but property taxes don't seem to be changing. Are you worried about that, and is that something you see as a problem in the future?
So, of course, yes, we are concerned as we move forward. Lubbock ISD was able to be recipients of the CARES Act funding, as were several other, well, really all local school districts, but the state's reducing its portion of funding because of the CARES Act money. So it's really just a wash for us on that. So for this upcoming year, it's going to be tight. We're being conservative with our budgeting. We're really more concerned about years moving forward and whether or not House Bill 3 can be sustained in the upcoming biennium.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Rollo, for coming on. I apologize. We've got to go, but we'll be back after these messages.